We're live again. We are live again. And boy, this has been an incredible, wild and woolly week. The mob that we have grown to love as they destroyed our statues, burned down our churches, destroyed our cities, chased after innocent people, killing them all over the place. Now they have expanded their parade of joy to Teslas. And tomorrow, the day of rage, they're going to burn down all the Teslas. They're going to protest. And as bad as these mob thugs are, you know what? The judges have seemed to become just as lawless and dangerous as we have seen this past week as the mob themselves. But nothing compares to the wonderful joy of all of us here because we are live from Virginia. It's Friday Tea Leaves.
Well, you did good, Nelson. Congratulations. As we're getting
stream of consciousness kind of thing.
As we're getting used to going live with this Lumble live stream tool we have, you did a good intro. It's live for Friday Tea Leaves, and it's true. If you're watching right now at 3:25 on a Friday, it's live. But if you're watching later, it's Memorex. So you're looking at some things with the left. And I will just say this, they've lost their guaranteed funding. Apparently it takes about at least $1 trillion to keep these nuts on top. That's been doged out from underneath of them, largely. We've got activist judges trying to issue injunctions to undo things. Now, this is national level. We're going to get to some state stuff coming up. But so you're talking about a day of rage, and they're going to try again. And I'm assuming, and I think they should be too, that there are some very competent, skilled lawmen waiting for them with cuffs and maybe billy clubs or batons, whatever the term for it is. Am I off base there? Are we going to see some crackdowns? I mean, for heaven's sakes, they got a free ride for the last 4+ years.
I tell you, we've evolved into so many different areas. We have gotten in really into the gears and the sausage making of law and working with our representatives and actually bringing our representatives into positions of representation to all of us, getting them elected. So the days of us coming out into the streets, it's still there, but it's not like up front and center. But if it was the old days, what I would love to do, because I have an impulse to do this, is on the 29th, that we greet these Tesla people with our own personalized greeting of them, who stand in front of the Tesla places waiting for them and confront them. But since we don't do that, we never done that, we're not going to do that this time. But I think now that they've been classified officially or close to officially as terrorists, they may find that the days of them just doing whatever they want and having the police told to stand down, and then if they do get arrested, waiting for the Kamala Harris fairy queen to come by and bail them out, those days are gone. They may be finding themselves under federal charges of terrorism, and that's some serious time. So they may think about this tonight before they come out tomorrow.
Well, nobody's going to be falsifying anything. It is what it is. It's measured as it's measured. It's not, there's no political motivation that, they're bad, we're good, we're going to smash them. It's really a matter of, are they lawless? Are they damaging property? Are they putting people at risk? That's the measure. It's not like, well, we've got friends that are going to cover that over and make it okay. So specifically, what are you aware of in terms of activism, in terms from the criminal left coming up?
Well, this is a serious thing, because even though we are doging the left money laundering machine to high heaven, literally, because heaven is where the light is, and evil really hates the light. They like darkness because in darkness they can spread, they can become stronger. Light exposes them, and it exposes them to threats from the good. So they've already said it's the 29th. Unfortunately for them, a congresswoman has already said that she wants to put Elon down, the congresswoman from Texas. Jasmine, or whatever her name is.
Jasmine Crockett.
Yes, for her birthday,
Yeah.
which is tomorrow. So the mob, violent left wing rent mob, has gotten marching orders from a legitimate source, Congress. They're still getting paid, even though we doged a lot of stuff out. They're still getting money, not as much though, unfortunately for these guys. You know, they're not going to get the big payoff, but they're going to get money, and they're going to get transportation cared for. And on the 29th, they've already picked that as a day of rage, and they're going to target every Tesla company throughout. Now, where I live, I'm so tempted, but it's too late now. But I was so tempted to set out an alert to find this Tesla and then put our Tea Party people en masse out there with maybe fashion accessories. But anyway, we decided that may not be a good idea, so we just backed off. I hate backing off, but the Trump administration has made it clear that they're going to move to consider this terrorism, because it is. It's intimidation to impose a ideology on us as opposed to the duly elected ideology and policies that we supported. So it is terrorism, and the Justice Department will be prepared, and so will the FBI. This is going to be considered a federal crime, and now these thugs are getting less money, and they're facing real serious jail time. So let's see what happens tomorrow.
Well, then they're also, it's worth mentioning, they're also no longer high dollar coordinated. The protesters and the rage actors are no longer funded in the way that they were. So now you're seeing a fragmentation of their message and coordination. It's just amazing how much we as taxpayers paid for our own demise and self-immolation from funding things which on the surface were respectable, but subwise they were not. I mean, there was this thing with Obama who was redirecting funds to actually fund these mobs. That's in the news, and it's like, did you really? I mean, here's the thing. Did you really think that would not eventually come out? And I suppose they thought, well, when it does, well, we can control the narrative because we have the media. Yes. Well, they don't have the media anymore. I mean, at a minimum, you and I talking live right now, it's a subcomponent. It's one of the many grains on the sand of the media, and that the central narrative isn't funded anymore, isn't coordinated anymore. And so what you see is they turn on themselves, eat themselves alive, and emerge with uncoordinated, self-destructive, and externally destructive kind of posturing and messaging. And so it's going to cascade into nothing but fail. Finally. So if tomorrow's their day of rage, I hope it's the day of quiet solitude in a cell with a comforting sensation of handcuffs behind their back. Or the acts of violence and terrorism that they are actually getting ready to engage in.
Yes.
I'm so sick of it.
So before we move on from this topic, I'm going to give a tea leaf because it makes sense since we're on this topic.
Oh, I've got leaves to review, but you go ahead with your new leaf. Go ahead.
The new tea leaf is for tomorrow, that this day of rage will not be a day of rage, but it will be a day of whining. It's going to shrink from the rage to a little whine, because very few people will be there, and the ones that will be there are the crazy ones, and there will maybe be a few little acts of vandalism, but very, very few, because I think the fear of God is in them now, even the ones that don't believe in God.
I mean, imagine that. Ow, stop it. You can't do that. I have a right. Ow, wait a minute. What are you doing? Boo-hoo. Yeah, it's long overdue. Their boo-hoo is long overdue.
Yes.
And wow. For the longest time while we watched this chaotic nonsense go on for years, it's like I'm telling myself, this crap's not sustainable. How can this continue? This is an extension like Wile E. Coyote running over the edge of a cliff, and then he looks down, oh, there's no bottom. And then he falls. It's like this kind of a delayed caricature of that. Oh my God. So there's a couple of things we want to talk about, and I'll look at the day of rage. I'll stay out of the fray. I don't have an appetite for being in the middle of nonsense with terrorist criminals putting on their damn show. I did an analysis of our Friday tea leaves, all the shows up until now. So this is not great. It's not awful, but our accuracy rating and projecting and prognosticating is 61.54%. On everything we said was going to happen, everything that did happen, we we have an accuracy rating of 61.54%. Okay, that's the measure. There it is. And we've got 7 open predictions, most of them from a special show we did when we had a guest. And of course, being live, I've got to sit here and think, what was his name? His name was David. And his last name is not coming to me, but it's one of the only shows we did that had 3 guests, me, you, and David. And we had 7 things. And let me just list them quickly. These are open and we don't have closure on it. The Ukraine conflict will end quickly due to unprofitable funding drying up. I think we're seeing that come true. So we'll see how that affects the outcome. Another one is Greenland will become a U.S. territory. I think it's going to happen.
Maybe, yeah.
I really do. Third one is Canadian Prime Minister and Trump will find common ground after Trudeau's resignation. Well, let's see what this snap election in Canada produces. There's a lot of, emotional feeling, nationalism. I mean, Canada deserves to have a national feeling. They really do. I know the 51st state is kind of an insult to them, but for God's sakes, the worst insult for Canada is to put up with an overlordship of socialism crap. If it takes getting them mad to push that away, I'm happy about that for them. The fourth one is legal ramifications for the 2020 election theft. I still think that's on board. I mean, the data is the data. We all heard the data when Mike Lindell was going, we got the data. They have servers. And we never saw any of it, right? And then if you had court cases, you were never allowed to have standing. You can't avoid that. It's coming. Another one was prosecutors, Fannie Willis, Alvin Bragg, and USAID EPA heads will be jailed for abuses. I think that's pending. So these are interesting predictions. Two more. Northern Virginia's voter composition shifts favoring conservatives in future elections, and that was yours, Nelson, because you saw a brain and a butt drain from these areas because they're kicked out of the area, right?
Indeed.
And the last one was the diaspora of Devil's Seat bureaucrats as well leave D.C. and spread elsewhere. So that's where our Friday tea leaves open-ended items exist. Let's move to Virginia. So there's something happening, I think effective now or effective soon, that the General Assembly is being called back into session. Tell me about what you know about that.
That I don't know. I know.
You can't say that. You've got to know. You're the expert.
No, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I know that we have a crisis in the state. When you have territory in a state and the law enforcement and the representatives that are sworn to the Constitution and rule of law, when they decide for whatever reason that a group of people, this particular group of people, the law won't apply to this particular group of people, but everyone else the law applies to. So in this case, it was the particular group of people that the law won't apply to are illegal aliens. Now, how their constituents, the people they're representing, how they feel about that, I think on right and left, both sides of the spectrum, I don't think that's something that's a winning message. But in Virginia, we have several places that have this kind of protection to illegal aliens where they commit a crime and then they release them to prevent ICE from coming in and deporting them as they're supposed to by law. So the 2 days ago, we got the kingpin of MS-13. They're sadistic. They're not just criminal. They don't just want to kill you. They want to kill you in a way that entertains them. And it's slow and it's brutal. These people are nasty. This guy is the head. And where did they find him? They found him in a very nice
DC.
Right? Yeah, it's a very nice place. And why did they find him? Because instead of the Biden administration, you had a Trump administration who wants to protect our country, working with Youngkin. And Youngkin now has an administration that he could work with. And the people, like the Commonwealth Attorney and all these people in that particular area, were cooperating with ICE. Had those people not cooperated, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And in the state of Virginia, we have several places where George Soros found in his infinite mercy and generosity to provide money for these George Soros Commonwealth attorneys to win. And in those cases, there's no cooperation. So I think that this special session that's this Wednesday starts.
Okay.
May have to do with that.
Well, I do know just on the surface of it that the governor vetoed a lot of stuff, and I'm never satisfied. I wish he would veto a lot more. You know, that's just me, right? I will be honest. I'm an alarming right wing extremist. Nothing satisfies me because it's not far enough. That's me. All right, I'll just clearly, you know, you're either going to go, yeah, kind of, or you can't pass me on that, or it's like, what do you expect a Tea Party guy to be like? But because of some of his vetoes and his amendments, they have to go in and address them. Yeah. Therefore, the special session, and then the details, including what you described.
Yeah, there's another thing too, because and he needs the General Assembly to do this. Those places where lawlessness for foreign aliens, illegal aliens exists, Governor Youngkin wants to withhold state funds to their localities, all of it. But to do that, he can't do it executive order. He has to do it by the
legislatively.
Yeah. And if he can't do that, my recommendation would be to just go ahead and squeeze them out of federal funds, every penny.
Every penny. Yeah. So we do have sanctuary cities in Virginia, thanks to our blue pals. And all that really does is put minority immigrant ethnic groups at risk, because when the immigrants illegally immigrate, where do they go? They typically go to the nationalistic population centers that resembles them, putting those good people in that area at huge risk, right? Which is why you have that strange, like, what? You've got you know, El Salvadorian or Mexican or whatever kind of regional population you have. They don't want illegal immigration because it puts them at immediate frontline risk from the criminals. And they're not all criminals. We know that. But if you've got 100 people and one's a criminal, you've got 1 in 100 serious problem. And so that's why that thing works that way. But you're right. The governor cannot necessarily legislate by power pen. It's got to be backed up by the legislature. And we have, and I will just say this, an effed up legislature, because it is blue top heavy sufficiently enough to get everything wrong and make everything bad still in this state. And I don't know if we have the type of conservative parties, Republican parties, that will stand up and push back against not just their particular goals or their deals that they cut, but doing what's right. I would love to have confidence in that. I don't, because I don't see it, you know. And if I do, I guess I can be educated. But let's see what happens. And you say that session is Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday.
And so I know that we had a scheduled interview today with a candidate, Winsome Sears, candidate for governor, because of this thing. All the schedules all messed up. We're looking forward to seeing her on April 4th. Do I have that date right?
Yes, the Tuesday, April 4th.
Tuesday, April 4th. We will look forward to having Nelson and Winsome Sears sit down and chat. Based on the clock that I've got in front of me, we should conclude our Friday tea leaves. How will you take us out? What zinger do you have in store for us here at the end?
Well, I'll tell you, I think we're like riding the storm right now. You know, we're like riding the hot dragon, because all kinds of stuff's happening. I think one of the things that is going to come to a head real soon is these rogue judges. They call them activist judges. No, they're actually rogue or outlaw judges. This is nothing. Activist is sometimes a positive term. What they're doing is not positive. It's lawless. And so I think the Supreme Court's going to have to make a final decision. But here's the thing. In the Constitution, you got the Supreme Court. Everything below them, you know, the district courts, those are creations by Congress and funded by Congress to fund them. So all of this stuff, the mob in the street, the mob in the courts, all of this stuff is going to come to a head next week. We've got Winsome Sears next week. So let's keep riding that. Let's keep riding that dragon while we can. And as far as the tea leaves, you got mine. And we're going to find out whether it's right or not tomorrow at 6 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, we'll know it will be all over.
All right, so go ahead and repeat that tea leaf just for the sake of repetition.
Well, the hungry mob that the left has financed all this time, the financing are drying up. But the war against Tesla, the Tesla that they worship for so long, that are owned mostly by Democrats. So you got these group of Democrats who are hurting another group of Democrats because mostly Democrats have purchased Tesla. And
Yeah.
so one group is hurting the other group. So my tea leaf prediction is that raging mob will be actually a sniveling, whining dog by tomorrow.
Right. With their hands behind their back and a bit of polished chrome keeping their wrists together and saying, "Ow, don't, it hurts. This isn't fair. Boo-hoo." Yeah, looking forward to it. And I hope your tea leaf is correct. Anyway, Nelson, thanks for joining us on this March 28th Friday Tea Leaves. Let's hit the exit, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes. Ah.